assuming you're a fan of Handmaid's Tale if you clicked on this video. Why I love Handmaid's Tale? Well, let's get into it. Okay, so welcome to the little corner of my floor. I'm going to be talking about Handmaid's Tale because this show has altered my brain chemistry, and I know people say that online, but actually this has altered my brain chemistry, okay? So I watched it for the first time the beginning of 2024, rewatched it, and then rewatched it again at the very end of 2024 because I was like, I started the year watching this show and I just felt called to end the year watching this show. But yes, this show does cover very dark topics. It can be very violent, very heavy, so if you don't want to talk about that, feel free to leave the video. I'm going to go over each character and talk about them. Then I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite episodes from the series and what I learned from watching this show, and just my general thoughts and opinions. So this might not be the most organized video. This is more of just like a rant about a show that I love. So I hope you enjoy, and I'd love to hear your comments, thoughts, and opinions in the comments below because, like, I could talk about this show forever. So yeah, let's get started. Handmaid's Tale, oh my god. I think first and foremost we need to talk about June, also known as Alfred. So June goes through a very insane journey in this show. Here she is, Miss June. She goes through an insane journey in this show. She starts out as a regular woman. She is made a handmaid, and like all of the women who are made into handmaids, they did not ask for it. Gilead was created, and June was just a normal gal. Oh, she was just a normal gal before that. She had a child with her husband Luke. She was just out there living her life as a free woman. And she's our main character, obviously. I'm assuming you've already seen the show if you're on this video. Her evolution is crazy because she goes through impossible things you couldn't imagine going through. And somehow she stays alive, and she goes a little insane, but she doesn't completely lose her mind, which is honestly impressive. She's looking very fierce right here. I think people have some mixed feelings about June, but honestly, like, how can you judge a girl who's going through hell? You know, I'm not judging. Now, second character I'm going to be talking about. Nick. I love Nick, okay? Nick is mysterious. He's slaying. He is the driver for the commander, Fred, for June's commander. And they have a little romance. And this romance might be one of the best romances I've seen on TV because it's like forbidden love almost. Like there's no way that they can be together, but somehow they make it work. But you know in the end that they probably will never end up together. And it just like, him and June. I love them, okay? They're the best couple. And Nick, like all the characters, goes through quite a journey. He starts out as this very mysterious, we don't know anything about his background. He stays a mysterious character, but he starts to gain power throughout the seasons. He eventually becomes a commander, he gets a wife, all those things. It just becomes more and more impossible for him and June to be together, and, well, also seems more and more impossible for the outcomes we want to happen are going to happen. But I love Nick. He slays. And what else do I even say? Like, he's amazing. Like, and he's just a king. Okay, now we're gonna be talking about Serena Joy. I'm not gonna lie, this look today was inspired by Serena a little bit. Maybe not as, you know, she doesn't really wear makeup because I'm pretty sure women in Gilead aren't allowed to wear makeup. But I think Serena might be one of the most fascinating characters in Handmaid's Tale. Here she is. She looks so happy. Because, wow, I didn't realize how high up they make the bump on her head. the poof. Now, she's one of the most fascinating characters to me because she is an intelligent woman. She's one of the smartest people. However, she basically helps create this world that is for her own oppression. So I find her so interesting because she's intelligent. You know, she's thought these things through. But she continues to back Gilead, to back her husband Fred, no matter what, even when that system doesn't allow her to exist. Like, women like her aren't supposed to exist in Gilead. You're just supposed to go along with what everyone says, and you're not supposed to have ideas of your own. She wrote a book before Gilead was created, and now she can't even read her own book. And other women can't read her book because women aren't allowed to read in Gilead. So I find her so fascinating because she talks about all these conservative values and stuff, and it seems that she really believes in these things, and she looks miserable all the time because she's a very miserable character. She really believes these things, but she thinks that she can be an exception to the rules, which is what I find so interesting about her. She is okay with oppressing women and being oppressed as long as she has more rights than other women do. As long as she can read, as long as she can be making rules in Gilead, as long as she has a say, but she doesn't want any other woman to have a say. So it's really insane. Here she is post Gilead. And it's crazy. I also find her so interesting because the actor who plays her is so beautiful, and it adds this whole layer to how can she be so physically beautiful and sort of has this, she's kind of like elegant. It reminds me of the scene where Alfred's watching a ballet and the ballerina is sort of mirroring what Serena looks like, but she's so elegant and has this like tight slick back bun, but everything about Serena is not elegant besides her appearance. She's harsh, she's hateful, she is oppressive. Really great qualities to have. And she's very, very selfish. Like I said, she wants every woman to not have the rights that she has, that she technically doesn't have, but she kind of sneaks, like kind of manipulates Fred into having. But she's just so miserable. And fun fact, when I first watched this show, I thought she was wearing blue, but she actually wears green. I swear to God, the coloring of my TV made it look like she was wearing blue. I mean, this is a blue dress.
Okay, I'm doing a Google search right now, and apparently the wives in Handmaid's Tale wear blue. I'm pretty sure when I first watched it, I was like, I swear they're wearing blue. Then I watched it a second time, and it's green. And sometimes it looks blue and sometimes it looks green. But according to my Google search, the wives wear blue, but also teal, so it's kind of a mix of blue and green. So now I'm just confused, but
The actor who plays Serena is so great at making her this miserable, like every picture of her is, she looks miserable. All the actors in this show are so good. They bring the characters to life so well. I watch this show like it's nonfiction, like it genuinely feels real. Which is part of what I love about it. And especially the first time I watched it, everything was so real. The dynamics between people, everything that happens in this show is so, I'm gonna say real again. Wow, I have such a wide vocabulary. But anyways, Serena is probably the most interesting character to me, the most complex. Really don't understand what goes on in her head, but, whatever. And of course, next, I have to do Commander Fred. Ugh. He is actually the worst character in this show. I'm not even kidding. And I commend the actor who plays him because it cannot be an easy job to play such a terrible person. But yeah, here we are, Fred, yay, nobody likes him. Actually, apparently some people do. Oh my god, but the actors do such a good job because even Fred at times is almost likable. Like, you almost feel bad for him because seems so like he plays dumb almost, but he's not playing dumb. He's genuinely not that smart. He's smart enough to be part of creating Gilead, to like be part of literally overthrowing the American government, but he's easy to manipulate, which is another dynamic I love, is the dynamic between him and June, when June tries to basically gain his trust and use him to have sort of certain freedoms that she normally wouldn't have, like playing Scrabble with him or like reading a magazine. That's gonna take me to one of my favorite episodes, but I'm not gonna talk about my favorite episodes yet because I'm still going over the characters. But Fred, awful person, very well-deserved ending. When June slapped him in the face, me and my sister cheered like we were watching football and we just watched our team win. I literally let out like a guttural scream, like like it was so satisfying. Like I said, the first time I watched this show, it was like watching nonfiction. Like I took it so seriously. So everything I was so emotionally invested in. And the second time around, it's like I can't be as emotionally invested because I know like the stakes are lower because I know what's gonna happen. But anyways, Fred, he sucks. There you go, there's Fred. We have our Queen Janine. Janine is another character I find fascinating because we see her post Gilead and she has this normalcy about her that she doesn't have when she's a handmaid. I mean, how could you have normalcy when nothing is normal and you're literally like a slave? She becomes this sort of docile, almost reminds me of like a beaten dog or a beaten puppy. Like she becomes this really sweet and pleasing type of person, I think out of necessity, because they literally take her eye, and before Gilead you can see her as more of this normal person who might seem stronger than the version of her in Gilead because she hasn't gone through this huge trauma yet. But I think that's really fascinating to see her backstory and then see her in Gilead and how she became this subdued person, and her sick and twisted connection with Aunt Lydia, who I'm going to talk about next. This biatch. If you didn't want to literally like fight her watching this show, then I don't know if we watched the same show, because oh my god, Aunt Lydia is terrible. Also, I commend the actress who plays her because she's a freaking queen. Ann Dowd, she's a freaking queen. She does amazing in this role. She makes me hate Aunt Lydia's guts. And again, at some points I actually feel for her. I almost feel bad for her. Like, these terrible characters, Fred, her, the other commanders. Well, no, the other commanders, no, because no. Fred and Lydia specifically, like there's moments where I almost feel for them. And maybe less so for Fred, but also like, how can you really feel for Aunt Lydia? Like, she's so violent, like she loves violence. But she has this sick and twisted connection with Janine where like, she acts like she's her daughter, but you know it's not like a real love, because if she really loved her, she would love her no matter who she was, no matter if she was rebellious or not. She loves her because she can control her, because she's this docile, almost childlike figure to her, because she has control. She's the aunt. They're the handmaids. She's in charge of the handmaids. So she only loves her or likes her because she can control her and because she basically acts like a child. She clearly doesn't like women because you see in Aunt Lydia's flashback her connection with one of her students' moms, and she like hates her. Like off the bat, she just hates her for being like a young woman who is attractive and free. I don't even know, like, what is Aunt Lydia's problem? Like, I haven't gotten enough answers about her because she has so much anger and this knack for violence that is so, I just don't quite understand where it comes from. But maybe part of the show is showing how people can change or be emboldened by certain systems, and maybe nothing crazy has to happen in someone's life, but they could just really love violence. They could just really love power. But anyways, that's a breakdown of like the main characters. I didn't show Moira. We all know her. She's a queen. But I think I covered all the bases, all the characters that I wanted to. Wait. It's so hard because there's 5 seasons, so I'm thinking about 5 seasons at once. Moira, we love Moira. She's a ride or die. She's a freaking ride or die. period. Like, I really have nothing else to say about her except she's a ride or die. She's kind of like a rock for June and her family, especially with Luke and her baby, freaking, what the hell's the baby's name? And the baby that her and Nick have that she is able to, that Emily brings into Canada. Moira is like a rock for that family. She helps raise that child like it's her own. She is a freaking queen, okay? And I wanted to talk about, oh, what's his name? Mark Tuello. Oh my god. In the later seasons, Mark Tuello comes in, and he's like flirtatious with Serena. I think this is another interesting dynamic because I think he sees her as this beautiful woman and he kind of assumes that she's a victim to her circumstances, that she's a victim to Gilead, but actually she helped create it. Like, she very much knows the situation she's in. And I think Mark begins to see that as his relationship with Serena develops. And they have this chemistry, like almost kind of romantic. Like, I genuinely thought that they might become a couple, but I really don't think Serena deserves love right now because I just don't think she deserves love, like, especially romantic love. Like, she was willing to stay with Fred, like that's just too much. But I loved when his character came in and the chemistry him and Serena have. But who knows what will happen in season 6 with all that, but I had to mention that. Okay. That's my character breakdown. Let me get a sip of water and I'm going to talk about my favorite episode and what I've learned from the show and continue to talk about why I love it, okay? Okay, I think my camera was crooked the whole time I filmed the first section of this video. This is my cat, Smokey. She's so sweet. But anyways, I'm going to talk about my favorite episodes of The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, it's hard to say. If I had to pick a favorite season, oh, she's staying here. If I had to pick a favorite season, I'd say 1 and 2, like, oh. But then again, 4 is really good, and then I mix up the seasons because I just binge watched the whole thing. I loved season 1 a lot because it set up Nick and June's relationship, and for me, that's a highlight of the show. One of my favorite season 1 episodes is Jezebel's, when the commander, Fred, I just need to call him Fred because the commander makes him sound too powerful. Like, Fred takes June out to the club, to Jezebel's, and she has this, like, 1920s yellow gold dress on, and it's like such a look with the red lip. Like, I had to do a little red lip today, kind of just inspired by the theme of this video. But that was one of my favorite episodes because it opened a door to the scandal of Gilead, because Gilead holds itself as this holier than thou place where everything is by the book and there's rules, and handmaids are only there to make babies for the families, and then once they make the baby, they're given to another family and that's it. But of course, people break the rules that have power. The commanders go to basically a what do you call it? A brothel. They have a brothel in the center of the city. That's a secret. Go to this place to break the rules that they created. They created a place with such strict rules just to break them. Does that not sound insane? But he brings Offred there, and it was fun seeing her in a different setting and seeing Nick be like a little jealous but also concerned, like, June, what are you doing? June reconnects with Moira, which I loved. It was like seeing an old friend. I'm like, oh my god, thank god Moira's okay. And eventually Moira escapes and makes it to Canada, thankfully, because her storyline was really painful to see, especially seeing her in Jezebel's. But, I mean, everybody's storyline's painful in this show, let's be honest. That was one of my favorite episodes, and the song they played that's like, give me a reason, something, something. They play that song like 5 times in the show, but it really goes with the vibe of that scene. That's another thing I love about this show is the music that they use. One of the episodes, I think it's like in season 2 or 3, at the end, it starts playing, when I look outside my window, I can get, it's like, that song by Rihanna and SZA. love it. Like, so good. So whoever selects the music for that show, you do a good job. And how did you get that job? Because I want that job. Okay, thank you, let me know. Okay, anyways. Definitely like a standout episode of season 1 was the Jezebel's episode. I loved the episode where Luke is able to call June and then Nothing's Gonna Hurt You Baby by Cigarettes After Sex starts playing. The feeling of watching that scene for the first time, like I wanted to bawl my eyes out. That was a great moment, a great musical moment too. Musical moment. I also loved when June was at the farmhouse with other handmaids hiding, and she comes back with an officer. I forget what you would call them. And well, he gets shot, so rest in peace to him. Then she looks up, she realizes she's caught, and it's Nick standing there. I wanted to cry. I was like, if Nick is a bad person, I'm gonna fucking... I felt betrayed. I was like, what? But then I'm like, wait, this is a good thing because he can help her, and he's obviously not gonna kill her. He's getting more power. It was so interesting to see how Nick's character evolved, because he kept gaining more power and getting deeper and deeper in with the Gilead government, which was good because he could do more things, but bad because he was getting deeper and deeper into the Gilead government. His life with June has become nearly impossible at this point, and they have such a pure, loving connection. And don't even get me started when June is pregnant with his baby and they're acting like this sweet young couple. That was just so sweet, and I loved that. And I didn't love that I think it's season 3 and 4. I think more so in season 4, there's like no Nick. He's nowhere to be found. Like, you look for him, he's not there. I really missed the dynamics between June and Nick as their characters went down these different paths. But it also made me appreciate their relationship more. I do like the introduction of Commander Lawrence because he's another character. I didn't give him a picture. You know what? I'm gonna give him a picture right now just so we can have a visual for all the people at home. It's so funny. I was gonna make a video just like this last year, at the beginning of last year. Maybe I'll add a clip of that video to this video just to show I finally made it. Okay, Commander Lawrence, he's so fascinating. I kind of want to slap him across the face. Like, look at him. Like, because I almost expect better from him because he's kind of like Serena in a way that he's so intelligent. He knows what he is doing. He knows what he created. He created a world in which his wife can't even get medication for the mental illness that she has. His wife hates him and she's going crazy and ends up dying. June basically lets her die. But you can't even blame June for that fully because Lawrence, her husband, created a world like this for her, for them. I mean, he's another character where I just can't quite understand his thinking. He's clearly a very intelligent person, but he created Gilead. He laid it all out. How can you understand that or forgive that? But he's another fascinating character, and in a way he's good because he helps June, and he helps Emily escape because he wants to have a clearer conscience about all the damage she's done. But is he really doing it from a genuine place? No. And then at the end he wants to create like a new Gilead where the people can like June can come back and where they have a little bit more freedoms than in regular Gilead. I'm like, girl, what? I almost got so comfortable watching Gilead on the screen. It started to seem like an okay place to live, which I didn't like because I'm like, at some points you almost forget how terrible it is, and there are definitely people who watch the show and are like, you know what, Gilead doesn't seem too bad. No. If you think that, first of all, there's something wrong with you. Second of all, that's just insane. Like, in reality, that would be a terrible, terrible place to live. But I think we get comfortable as viewers in the later seasons. We get so used to Gilead that it doesn't seem as harsh as it seemed in the beginning, but it is very much still the same place. And Gilead itself evolves throughout the seasons because they have changes in the government, changes in leadership, blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of interesting evolution in the show between Gilead, between the characters, between Gilead and Canada. So yeah, at the end of season 5, basically June is being forced out of, well, she gets hit by a car. That is a horrible scene. That episode is shot like a horror movie. Genuinely. It's so eerie. June gets hit by a car, and all the Canadians want the Americans to leave. So that's kind of where season 5 ends. And I'm really interested to see what they do in season 6. I am excited to see all the cast back together. They couldn't have picked a better cast for this show. They are so amazing. I couldn't imagine anyone other than Elizabeth Moss playing June. I couldn't imagine anyone else playing Moira, Janine, Luke, Nick, Aunt Lydia, Serena, the commander. All of the characters are just casted so perfectly. The music is great. The directing is good. I love how it changes throughout the seasons. Obviously, they have different directors at different times. Some are filmed like horror movies. Some are filmed almost like in a romantic way. There's so much variety to this show. I just love this show. I'm so excited for season 6. Maybe I'll make a video after watching season 6. Please, okay. Predictions, okay? Season 6 predictions. I think Luke or Nick is gonna die. And I hate to say this because I love them, but I would rather, I almost said nuke. I'd rather Nick stay alive because I really want him and June to be together. But I do love Luke, but like, June is not the same woman she was before Gilead, so it's really hard to, I can't root for them. I don't think that's going to end well. I think they're going to end up separated, and I mean, they already are separated at the end of season 5, physically, because Luke is like arrested for killing that guy. So I really hope if Luke dies, it's not super tragic. I hope he doesn't die in jail or something. I think there's going to be a full-blown war between America and Canada. Wait, no. Canada and Gilead, yes, sorry. I don't know what the Americans are gonna do. They're like some of them are in Canada, some of them are in America, like parts of America that aren't Gilead. Who knows? But there's gonna be a war. I don't think Nick and June, I almost said Juke. Oh my god. Nick and June are gonna have a happy ending just because, I mean, I know this show pretty well. I'm really interested to see how it all goes. Yeah, I just really love this show. I could make so many videos about it, so maybe I'll make a more in-depth video in the future, breaking down episodes and seasons and stuff like that. But for now, I just wanted to make a general video about why I love this show. Great cast, great acting, great writing, great music. It can be a very dark show and very violent, but the emotional payoff is freaking amazing. The emotional payoff in this show needs to be studied by other shows because they know how to emotionally pay off. They know how to make something worth waiting for. When Fred is killed, when June slaps Fred, when June screams in Serena's face the way Serena screamed in June's face in season 1 and she says, "Do you understand me?" Oh my god. That scene is so good. The emotional payoff in this show is amazing. They do not leave the viewers behind in that way. Oh, and I almost forgot. What have I learned from this show? After watching this show, I started to become a lot more aware of power dynamics in everyday situations because so much of this show is about power. In every single scene, who has power in the scene? Who has power in the conversation? They're in this extremely oppressive system where there's the people who have power and the people who don't have power. And the people who don't have power, they might have power in some ways, like June still manages to use the little power she has and is victorious in a lot of ways. But still, every scene, every dynamic is a power balance, is a power play. And watching this show made me so much more aware of power dynamics in real life too, not just in stories. Who is trying to have power in the conversation? Everything in this show goes back to power. There are a few moments where some relationships are just about an equal relationship. Somebody has to have power. So that's really interesting. But it's the truly like loving moments connected moments where there isn't somebody who has power over another person. Um, like a lot of scenes with June and Nick, or even scenes with June and Moira, like there's no power play. Nobody's trying to be more powerful than the other. It's just like a strong relationship where there's love. But a lot of the show is about power, and after watching it, I was like, oh my god, like so much in life is about power and who has power in a conversation, blah blah blah. And it's so egotistical because it's like, who has power in a conversation? Like, why would you need to have power in a conversation anyways? Aren't you just supposed to have a conversation to have like an equal give and take? But some people really love power. Some people really want it. Some people really want to be in charge. And this show made me more aware of that. And obviously the very negative aspects of that, the people who want to oppress other people, yada yada yada. That's one thing I learned from this show. Another thing I learned about resilience, because the characters in this show go through so much and somehow keep going. And I know that a lot of this show and its contents, I think Margaret Atwood said nothing she wrote in her book in The Handmaid's Tale is completely made up. Like, it's all something that has happened in history at some moment. So I learned a lot about human resilience, and that you can be through hell and somehow survives. Somehow find power in situations where you are essentially powerless. And of course it's fiction, but it does draw upon real life events, real life history, and I felt that. That's something I noticed. I mean, there's a lot about friendship, like how connections prevail in even the most oppressive environments. Um, yeah, that's some things I learned from this show, and it's really altered my brain chemistry. And I thank my older sister Brianna for recommending this show to me, because I almost didn't watch it because I didn't know what it was about, and I was like, no, it doesn't seem like the kind of show I would like. And now it's like one of my favorite shows ever. I could go on, but I'm gonna stop this video here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know who your favorite characters are, who the characters you hate the most are, your favorite moments, your favorite songs. If you've like found any songs from the show, comment down below. I found a few songs that I really like from the show, and I'm really excited for season 6. Like I said, I might make a video when season 6 comes out, and I might make more in-depth videos, but for now, these are some things that I love about Handmaid's Tale. Really, 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 really amazing show. I'm so glad I found it. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So have a beautiful 2025.